God, why don't you review more Corsair cases?
Oh my
Corsair
goodness.
cases.
I just love saying Corsair. Yeah, Corsair.
What?
There's been many case reviews this year.
It has been 438 days since we last reviewed a Corsair case. That changes today. With a 500D. The new Mastercase MK750 keyboard comes with a comfortable magnetic wrist rest, beautiful RGB light bar on the perimeter and per key lighting control with a variety of Cherry MX switches and a bottom Type-C connection. Cooler Master doing it right. Check it out below. Hello good people, I'm Dmitry, and the Corsair 500D is an interesting enclosure because it's their new Obsidian, which is their most premium series, and this curved visual artifact on the wall is a good representation on Corsair's direction. They're no longer going with the whole like boxy and like squared corners look. Now it's more curved. At $149, it looks beautiful with some interior refinements, so let's see what the experience is like. First, is it a good feeling having the entire case covered with this protective film? It gives you that impression of something premium, but at the same time also something super sensitive to fingerprints, like the brushed aluminum front and top panels. And to save you the hassle of cleaning, I would peel everything after the build is finished. But here is an interesting accident. When I was peeling off the front protective film, the logo or half of the logo peeled along with it, leaving only the top portions of the sails attached to the case, and that I thought looked even better and more discreet on the front panel. And I could easily reapply the sticker if I had some glue, but seeing that this is the application method from the factory, be careful when wiping off the fingerprints as the sticker could easily come off. Okay, so it's been 2 weeks and Corsair has delayed the launch of the 500D just to fix that exact issue of the logo peeling. So I have the replacement case here, so let's check it out. All right, the moment of truth. Bam! All into Alright, so all good in the hood. Apparently the peeling logo was only present for the first batch of review units that were sent out, and the retail units are all fine. They fixed this issue. Back to the review. Now let me know if you agree with this thinking that glass has sort of lost its premium appeal because now it's found everywhere, even on $60 cases. So how do you differentiate between quality glass versus, you know, whatever, mounting? So Corsair have done a really good job with the mounting approach as the side panels swivel to open to make access easier. So we have strong magnets at the front to hold the panels, plus I love the aluminum plating that we get on each side that also curve in a little bit to complement this whole curvature of the front panel that looks absolutely gorgeous. And don't worry about the airflow as the front panel is properly spaced out from the fans by almost a full inch. That, by the way, is also covered with a magnetic dust filter. It's easily removable from the side. So this slight curvature of each side panel helps to conceal the front intake without blocking airflow, meaning we have this gorgeous facade at the front that deserves the Obsidian name. The glass is pretty dark and it's the same color on both sides, and we have a screw that must be removed in order to lift the panel off the hinge. Now I'm not surprised that majority of the weight comes from these glass panels, but this is the first time where the case could not support the weight of the side panel when it's open, and it caused the case to tilt if the opposite panel was removed. And this of course would not be an issue if the system was installed or you have both side panels in place. Also, the glass is not flush against the frame, but we have this 4mm gap that might cause additional dust entrance and of course noise. The I/O is standard with illuminated power button. There's a Type-C connector, that's awesome, and an easily accessible reset switch in this good looking I/O. The top panel is interesting because the raised sides benefit airflow, so the ventilation is only present in the center. That I must say has this really unique ventilation pattern, but it is not found anywhere else on the case, and I find that strange. Also, you would think that these aluminum panels would be removable for easier access for the front and top fan areas, but they are part of the frame and are not made to be removable. That I think is super unfortunate because accessing those areas is now made more difficult. So instead we have these fan brackets that at the front is fine because access is not an issue and you can run a 280 in 2 positions or a 360 rad with this bracket. But my issue is with the top fan bracket, and it deserves its own fail award because check this out. The the frame at the top completely blocks your access to the thumb screws that hold it in place, that by the way are not captive, making reinstallation a lot harder than it needs to be. Then the bracket is identical in size to the front bracket, yet it only supports a 280 or 240mm sizes for radiators. And the case is large enough to mount a 360 up top, so you could switch them from the front bracket, but I still don't understand this limitation. Now the interior is based off the 570X case that is roomy. We have 2 fans included, a power supply filter, 7 PCI brackets with 2 vertical. The non-removable shroud has been closed off at the front, and they've added a rubber grommet for better cable routing and some additional mounting locations for pump or reservoirs at the bottom. I also appreciate the long standoff in the middle to catch your motherboard, and at the back we get 2 large drive caddies and 3 individual SSD brackets, so storage is exclusively for this area. Now with my system completed, there are no glaring issues that I could think of with the assembly, nor are there any high praises either. If you like an open space and feel your hardware deserves some breathing room, the 500D does that well, even with my H150i installed at the front. And you have additional 4 inches until the shroud wall, so you could do push-pull easy or go with the thicker radiators. Cables under the motherboard are routed just fine, but this is the first time I noticed how the ventilation on the shroud isn't all that pretty when you can see the power supply underneath. There's a lot of space above the motherboard, but due to the top bracket and its terrible mount, you'd want to avoid putting yourself through that, but we have 8 centimeters of clearance until we hit my RAM slots. Cable management is okay, but I honestly was hoping they would improve on some things since 1.5 years ago, so all the cables entering the main interior must be channeled through this metal cover. First, it's pretty tight to fit all the basic cables, so it would be nice if the bracket was wider. And second, the thumb screws again are not captive, making reinstallation more difficult. They also used really short thumb screws that might not even reach depending on how many cables you have bundled up behind it, so I swapped them out for longer ones to make my life easier. And so it's weird to have all these missing small details that pull together and detract from an otherwise excellent experience. Like, why not have captive thumb screws on all the panels just as they have on their SSD caddies? And finally, putting on the side panels, you can see the 500D was made to be beautiful, and I personally love the darker tint on the glass panels to mute any lighting on the inside and hide anything on the cable side. But I wish more was done to improve the top fan bracket and the cable bar and spread this awesome ventilation pattern throughout the case for that cohesion element. And so to me, the 500D feels like an odd Obsidian, because my interpretation of the series means they put their best designs forward that will then trickle down into like the carbide and lower tiers. And I was expecting more, because NZXT is doing a lot of cool things. Be Quiet is flipping their interiors, you know, Cooler Master is fixing their errors, but they all feel like they're moving forward and there's some progression. And with this being Corsair's first 2018 release, let's just say I'm excited to see what they have for later in the year, because this was kind of underwhelming. And I say that because the interior is basically copy-paste from a case that was launched 1.5 years ago with some minor refinements. I love what they've done on the exterior, but I think they can step up their game for those interior unique features a bit more in 2018. But let me know if you agree. So that's it from me, the Corsair Obsidian 500D. Let me know what you think of it in the comments below. I'm Dmitry, thanks so much for watching. We'll see you in the next video.